This video is sponsored by Manscaped. Okay. We're going to be talking about this here today, and it's a topic that I really don't want to talk about, but you know what? Because it was in The Athletic, it was something that was published in a public forum on a paid media website, I'm going to be responding to this idea over here. Let's talk about a recent piece published by Shayna Goldman here on The Athletic. The title is this: 5 players not named Jack Eichel who could help solve the Rangers' long-term center problem. Now, there are a few names here, 5 of course, if you can go out there and actually read, that are suggested towards potentially being New York Rangers targets. Now, some of them make a lot more sense than others, and there are just a few of these on here that are so out of the realm of possibility. Now, that's no disrespect to Shayna Goldman, it's just I'm going out there talking about the ideas that are proposed in this article, not necessarily the scribe themselves. Either way, though, we're talking about one of the names on here. I will say I kind of want to make another video, maybe later in the week, talking about another target that is mentioned in this article, because it's kind of one that strikes at my heart in a different fashion there. But either way, one of the names that is indeed mentioned on this article, 5 players not named Jack Eichel who could help solve the Rangers' long-term center problem, is indeed, as you can see in the picture of the article, Detroit Red Wings center Dylan Larkin. Now, I'm not going to read as to what anything in the article actually says, because if you know this YouTube channel, you know our protocol. The Athletic is paid for material, so we're not going to go ahead and do that, but I will leave a link in the description if you want to go ahead and read this article, of course, if you have The Athletic. Now, the idea of Dylan Larkin heading over to New York is an interesting one, particularly because the same idea comes up every time you talk about a Dylan Larkin trade from Detroit. It's that Detroit values him so much more than any other team would, and therefore he should be considered untouchable because you're not going to get the proper value back. Now, this circumstance specifically is super interesting because this article was posted onto the Red Wings subreddit, as it would be, because it's a piece mentioning their captain, the Red Wings captain that is. And all the Red Wings fans on that post's comment section are like, oh no, I wouldn't do that, why the heck would we do that? We're not trading Larkin to the Rangers, yada yada yada, of course we're not going to do it. But this piece was also posted on the New York Rangers subreddit, and guess what? A whole bunch of Rangers fans that I've seen kind of feel the same way about Dylan Larkin. Now, they're a lot more open to the other players that are mentioned in this piece towards potentially being New York Rangers trade targets, but for Larkin specifically, there were a whole bunch of fans that I saw saying, yeah, you know, I like these guys, I like Larkin, he's a good player, but nah, not really a fit for our team. Let's not go with him, let's go for the other options that are listed here on this piece, that in which I'm not going to say their names because I'm saving that for another video topic discussion. So let's go over Dylan Larkin and this entire idea here, why it should work in theory for the Rangers. Like, if you told me Dylan Larkin was going to be traded over to New York with no ifs, ands, or buts about it, it is definitively going to happen, I would understand it from that point of view. It's like, okay, yeah, the Rangers are getting their long-term center, but we'll talk about other reasons why other teams, the fan bases, would not necessarily want to see this, the value of Dylan Larkin himself too, and just what exactly he means to this Red Wings team, pretty much explaining why it would be so difficult to even comprehend the idea of a Larkin trade from the perspective of a Red Wings fan. But before we get into all that, big word from our sponsor for today's video. Attention gamblers of all shapes and sizes. Our friends at Manscaped have a can't-miss bet for you today. The leaders in male grooming have just launched their 4th-generation performance package. The betting odds are in your favor when you use the Lawnmower 4.0 on your family jewels. Are you ready to take the leap to male grooming royalty? 2 million men already have. Join the Manscaped movement by going to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping with the code LEGOROCKS. If you want my personal recommendation, the Performance Package 4.0 is the ultimate parlay to take your grooming experience to the next level. It includes the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, which features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents, plus a 4000K LED spotlight. Did I mention it's waterproof too? The Performance Package 4.0 also includes the Weed Whacker, their very own nose and ear hair trimmer, as well as their ball deodorant and toner. It also comes with boxers and a travel bag. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code LEGOROCKS at manscaped.com. That is the code LEGOROCKS at manscaped.com today. So we're bringing in the old Moroki on defense Chris Tanev Vancouver Canucks argument here with Larkin once again. If you go over his profile and just discuss what kind of player he is, Dylan Larkin, 25 years old, 6'1", 198, a 15th overall pick by the Red Wings. He is signed till 2023 at $6.1 million a year. Now, if you take a look at the statistics, the numbers he's put up, 23 points, 44 games played last season, 53 points in 71 games the year before that. If you do the math on Dylan Larkin's first season as the captain of the Wings, 23 divided by 44 multiplied out by 82, he was on pace for 43 points, which, I mean, it's not great. He's outproduced that number in the past before, but he is indeed a guy who, at his best, is just under a point per game player. We all kind of remember 2018-19 was when Dylan Larkin had his best statistical year. 30 goals, under a point per game, 76 games played, playing on the Wings of all teams. So Larkin and his overall ability to produce, it exists. It definitely isn't make-believe here. You could just say that ability is somewhat dormant in the way that he has played recently, but again, I mean, the Wings haven't really been all too great, so can you really blame the guy either way? But Dylan Larkin, at his best, is an absolute force out there, and there's no real other way to describe it. The guy works hard, he battles in the boards, he can do some pretty skilled things, he can shoot the puck, he can skate like the wind with the puck on and off of his stick. Dylan Larkin is a pretty skilled all-around center, and the Red Wings fan base loves this guy for it. He embodies that heart and soul of being a Red Wing, which is why he was given the captaincy in a move that nobody in Detroit is super surprised to see. Now, for the New York Rangers, if you acquire a guy like a Dylan Larkin in a trade, even though Dylan Larkin is a guy that is worth, let's just say, X amount on the trade market, you put Larkin on the trade market, he is worth this much in terms of assets. Even if you overpay, even if you're the Rangers and you say, okay, we'll give up the market value for Larkin, plus a second and a third round pick, plus this other stuff over here, even if you do that, you're not going to give up a return that the Red Wings fan base is going to be satisfied with. Because Dylan Larkin is worth so much more to the Red Wings and this team than he would be in a trade scenario. You could argue that his value has somewhat declined based off of the way he has produced in the previous few seasons, but has his value declined in the perspective of Red Wings fans? No, they love this guy more than ever, they see his importance more than ever, and heading into the rebuilding days of having a good young roster, you're gonna need a guy like Dylan Larkin to act as your leader. There isn't a draft pick or a prospect that the Rangers could give up that could compensate for the emotional value that Dylan Larkin has with this fanbase and this team. It's just not going to work. So even though Dylan Larkin, who is a good young NHL player who at one time Craig Button labeled was a franchise talent alongside of Eichel and McDavid, even though he is not that, he is still extraordinarily important to the Red Wings, and the return would have to be massive in order for Red Wings fans to even be slightly satisfied, because they've grown so emotionally attached to Dylan Larkin that it's not even funny anymore. And I know it's probably not the best way to run your hockey team based off of emotional attachment to players, but Stevie Y kind of needs a face of this whole rebuild, doesn't he? He kind of needs a guy to anchor the ship, to be the captain of what is his project over here, and it's kind of been acknowledged by everybody in the organization that Dylan Larkin is indeed that guy. So unless you're giving up a Capo Caco or a Lafreniere or a Panarin, you're not going to please Red Wings fans. And obviously, all those trade packages in return would be a huge, astronomical overpayment for a guy like Larkin, especially in the way that he has progressed these previous few years, where his numbers have definitely taken a hit. Which is why a lot of Rangers fans I've also seen have said, yeah, I kind of don't want to do it. Like, Larkin is okay, yeah, don't get me wrong, but do we really want to go out there and get a guy who is 25 years old in this position and who is kind of declining a little bit? Is he the number one center we're looking for to play behind Zibanejad or to play after Zibanejad and to stick it out with Panarin and Kakko on a first line? Is Larkin that guy? And you know, I kind of don't want to answer that. I'd rather much be thinking about Dylan Larkin playing on a first line with, I don't know, Philip Zadina and Lucas Raymond. That sounds like a very, very good pairing right there. I'd love to see that, by the way. Take a look at the Red Wings and their prospects and the projections as to how the guys in the system could play with guys that are already on the team. A power play of Larkin, Raymond, Zadina, Seider, and Edvinsson sounds fantastic to me. Talk to me in the comments if it sounds great to you as well. Also, talk to me in the comments, of course, about the entire idea that we've discussed over here. If you're a Rangers fan, would you be interested in a Dylan Larkin? Now, the Wings aren't going to give him to you. Let's just establish that right here if it had not been established too hard in the video already. But if a Larkin was on the market, you know, he was an available asset, would you want this kind of guy for your hockey team? How would you think he would fit in? Do you think his speedy, gritty, two-way abilities and his flash and goal-scoring knack can benefit this team? Would you rather have somebody else? I know Jack Eichel is the main prize right now, but if it's not Eichel, is Larkin your go-to target? If so, tell me why. If not, also tell me why as well, because I know a lot of Rangers fans kind of don't really want to do it, which is really interesting to me, but it makes a lot of sense too. If you're a Red Wings fan, comment in the comment section below what is the minimum return from New York that you would like to see in order for you to actually be satisfied with a Larkin trade. We know that nobody in Detroit really wants to trade Larkin, but if you were forced to, if you had to do it, what would you want from New York in order to make you satisfied with a return? We know his numbers have taken a hit. We know he is no longer 22 years old. What exactly could you realistically expect that you would actually be satisfied with in a Larkin trade? Talk to me in the comments. What do you think? I hope you enjoyed this Trolls 99. And bye.